Smaller, even smaller yet.
Recording in progress.
All right, if everyone could mute themselves, that would be great. We're going to save questions for the end. If you have questions via Zoom, please put them in the chat and we will address them at the end. All right, well, welcome everyone. This is the Microenterprise Grant Public Information Meeting here at 2 Bridge Street or via Zoom. This is to discuss the Microenterprise Grant, which Delaware County was awarded a $300,000 Homes and Community Renewal Block Grant, Community Development Block Grant for a Microenterprise program to support businesses, both startup and existing enterprises.
The definition of a microenterprise is important that everybody understands. Microenterprise.
Hang on. I'm asleep. All right, for those of you that just walked in, we were a few minutes late, but I'm going to pass all this information around. This is our sign-in sheet. If you could please sign in. Sorry that this might have to write on something. And then take one of these and pass them around, and we'll get started. Or we're going to get started now, actually, because we're kind of late. So, as I previously mentioned, Delaware County was awarded a $300,000 New York State Homes and Community Renewal Community Development Block Grant for Microenterprise program to support businesses, to start ups and existing businesses. And we defined a microenterprise as a business with 5 or few employees, including the business owner at the time of application. So in this instance, that will be February.
Yes, and the Microenterprise Grant Program has national objectives to be met. And the first objective is to create jobs for LMI persons. LMI stands for low to moderate income individuals. And if more than one job is created, then 51% of jobs are for LMI individuals, low to moderate income individuals. And we're going to be discussing the income guidelines a little bit later. So this is one objective. So you either create jobs for LMI, or the business owner is LMI, qualifies as LMI based on the household income, which we're going to be looking at a little later. So these are the national objectives that the program is designed to meet. Lindsay, is there anything you would like to add?
I think that this, just if you all are business owners and you are LMI, then, that puts you under objective number 2. And for objective number 1, you have to create 1 permanent employee, so 1 full-time position. That's the objective for number 1.
And in terms of full-time position, we're looking at 37.5 hours per week. That's how it's defined.
That's how we
equivalent.
Could you repeat that, sorry, how much?
37.5 hours per week, full-time equivalent.
Okay.
Priorities.
No callers, sorry.
Delaware County Microenterprise Grant Program supports the county's vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem by assisting small businesses, again 5 or fewer employees, including the business owner, with small grants and entrepreneurial training that will create or retain jobs, particularly for LMI, low to moderate income persons. And the county microenterprise program has identified 3 priorities that Lindsay might want to talk more.
Yeah, so priority number 1 is agribusinesses, and that includes value added and agritourism operations. Just to piggyback off value added, you're currently making a raw product and doing something else with it, making a new product and able to sell that with the initial product that you currently produce. And then as far as downtown enterprises, we're really talking about the Main Street Commercial District. I just want to give an example. If all of you are familiar with Stanford and you know where Teepees is, the cafe, that's still the Main Street District. So we're looking to have right in the middle of the district and try and keep it there instead of side streets, the town right in the Main Street District. And then as far as startups, 6 months or less in business. So, or you're not in business yet and you have an idea and you're here to make that dream work, So that's how we're scaling the startups.
What if we don't meet one of those 3 priorities?
These?
Yeah, you can still apply. Yeah, you can still apply, and then there's gonna be a scoring system it depends how strong your application is. We're gonna talk more about eligibility and evaluation criteria and all of that.
Yeah, and each project, each business has a different project, so that will be scored on a case-by-case basis, really. But if you don't fall under one of these, I would still suggest applying, and then the review committee will look over that and either justify yes or no.
I guess the next slides address eligibility, who is eligible to apply.
Right, yep. So we're hitting the eligibility next.
Eligible applicants, you have a planned or existing business operation in Delaware County. You have to complete an entrepreneurial training program, WCCRC, Western Cattle Community Revitalization Council training program, or you have completed a comparable program within the past 24 months, and that would be again evaluated on a case by case.
You can come in.
Okay.
Yeah, find your seats anywhere. Over here.
Sorry we're late.
No, you're good.
Applicants will be required to verify owner and or employee income eligibility according to U.S. Housing and Urban Development Income Guidelines. We're going to be looking a little bit later at those income guidelines. And businesses must demonstrate the creation of at least one, like we mentioned before, new full-time equivalent job, or the owner is low to moderate income individual. So,
Additionally, applicants must have a UAI. That's a unique identity identifier, and I have had a lot of experience with these numbers. How many of you in this room had a DUNS number? Did it get converted?
Yeah.
Successfully?
Yeah.
Perfect. So for new businesses, we're planning to host a class, or even for existing and you already have a sam.gov account, that we're going to be holding a class that's going to basically walk you through the steps of how to get the UEI. And I am, cross my fingers, hopefully going to be able to talk to a real human being, whether that's possible or not, and try and navigate the account that's already had. So I've worked with a couple businesses in the past. They had the same email, but their address changed, and so it was like 3 to 6 weeks of waiting in the system and just waiting to hear. So be on the lookout in the future, probably end of January, beginning of February, for a class that Simona and I will be hosting for the UEI. Those with private recreational facilities and those selling and or products produced with a greater than 0.3% THC content are ineligible. So if you are a cannabis growing operation, this is not gonna work. All applicants must be in good standing with the state, county, and town and current with their taxes. That's a big one. We're really looking to comply here and make sure that all business owners understand that their taxes and filing their taxes in a reasonable amount of time or on time is important. Applicants also must be a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident of the United States.
Funding, New and existing microenterprises are eligible to apply for a grant in the amount anywhere between 5,000 and 35,000. A 50% owner equity contribution is required. With a minimum of 10% must be the cash equity of the owner. The remaining 40% of equity may be in the form of cash, traditional debt financing, and other documentable sources. For businesses that are at least 51% owned by individuals meeting low to moderate income guidelines, the required equity contribution is reduced to 40%. However, a minimum of 10% must still be the cash equity of the owner. And it's important to note that funds under this program will be made available on a reimbursement basis, requiring submission of the invoice, documentation of payment for reimbursement request to be processed. And Lindsay can speak more about the matching requirements and other funding sources that you can use as matching funds.
So yeah, I have a few comments on this. So my first comment on this is that a reimbursement basis basically means that you have to have all of the project funds up front, whether that is cash or traditional financing. That's one thing we're going to be looking for, is that you can actually pay for what you need to and then be reimbursed for what was already spent. As someone that works for economic development, I'm sure most of you are aware that we have a low interest loan program. We don't compete with banks, so it is important that you expend all of your energy on trying to get traditional financing prior to coming to economic development. Another entity that we work closely with at economic development is the CWC, Catskill Watershed Corporation. They're out of Arkville. They are great to work with, and we have a lot of projects together. So if there's a need for financing beyond the cash match, then I would suggest any of those, really. And so I think realistically, it's just very important that the business is able to secure the 10% and also the additional matching requirements. And on a long-term basis, we're hoping to have these training sessions sometime between February and March. And, we're going to be looking for those financing opportunities. So it's probably best to speak with someone sooner rather than later, given the holidays and how much time it takes to complete things. Questions? Perfect. All right.
Use of funds. We're going to go over what expenses are eligible under this grant program. Eligible expenses, if awarded, you can spend money on inventory, machinery, furniture, movable fixtures, equipment, and operating expenses. Ineligible expenses, repayment of existing debt, construction, renovation, assistance to a nonprofit, reimbursement of costs incurred prior to the grant award, political and religious activities, and lobbying. When it comes to construction and renovation, those are not eligible expenses under this program. However, they can be used as matching funds. And that's something that you will have to further discuss with Lindsay on Delaware County Economic Development. But you have the list of eligible expenses versus ineligible expenses. And if you're confused, contact either Lindsay or me and discuss it and get more clarification.
Yeah, so I think this program, beyond the construction and the renovation, is really about that next step. And the next step is either, I need this, $25,000 piece of equipment, and I just can't cash flow it right now. This is what we're looking to support. Working capital. Okay, yep, I'm not going to be able to cash flow for the next, 6 months. Maybe this would be a good outlet for me to apply and see how it goes. And also the training sessions are really to help you be able to cash flow and understand where you are now versus where you need to be in order to cash flow, either cash flow in general or cash flow better. That's really what we're getting at here. All right, general conditions. Okay, so recipients of funding will be required to thoroughly document eligibility, expenses, and job creation. So documentation of everything, all the invoices, notes, and emails that you are communicating with someone. Those are pretty important. Priority preference, where appropriate, will be given to projects involving individuals of low and moderate incomes and new business ventures. I think that kind of explains itself. An environmental review will be completed for each project. So there's a couple major areas that we will be looking for, and I'm just going to give a basic one off the top of my head. That two of them will be seeker and SHPO. If your project is in a floodplain or the 100-year flood zone, you will be required to have flood insurance. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's expensive, but that's part of it, and I think that projects that are in the floodplain are a big risk, and not only to our grant, but to you as well, so we're hoping to cover all bases. Applicants cannot change business ownership throughout the duration of the grant, or the grant may be subject to recapture. I think that's also pretty basic. Businesses that cease to exist, relocate to an area outside of Delaware County, or do not meet their job requirements during the term of the grant agreement will be required to pay the grant back. Any questions? Entrepreneurial training?
Yes, we mentioned that briefly before. Entrepreneurial training under the Microenterprise program must be completed by at least one of the business owners. All successful applicants, program participants are required to complete the OCR approved entrepreneurial training program offered by WCCRC, Western Catskills Community Revitalization Council, before funds can be accessed if awarded funding. To attend the training program, participants are asked to pay $100 deposit, which will be refunded once they complete the training, and the certificate of completion is issued by WCCRC. And we're going to discuss the timeline of the program in a bit, when we plan to start the training. We plan to do this like a very intensive, let's say 1 month of training in the evening when business owners work during the day. So in-person training, some virtual options available, but useful information will be shared during the training, and participants in the program will have an opportunity to either finish their business plan or refine their business plan, which is going to help them with the full application package. We're going to be talking in a bit more about this aspect of the program.
Yeah, I think that just to piggyback off that, the entrepreneurial training, because this is really targeting startups, that it is for the benefit of the startups. Learning how to do all the ins and outs of running a business on a daily basis, keeping financials accurately, and just well organization. This is how things are going to be evaluated. The applicant is an eligible microenterprise for-profit business and meets program criteria for benefiting individuals of low to moderate income, meaning that you're hiring somebody that is LMI, and you're hiring them for 37.5 hours, which equals 1 full-time equivalent position. The planned or existing business is located on a community's main street or is an agricultural related business. Again, going back to the ag business, it's either value added or agribusiness, meaning that you're hoping to draw tourism to the destination, and giving basically a feel for the public of, this is how our agribusiness runs, come and see what it's like. Or if you have a wine tasting shop or a beer, this is where everything's grown and produced, come join us and see what it's about. The project will result in a creation of a new business. The project will result in the expansion of an existing business. Project's viability and financial need, that's a big one. If it's a need or not, or a need or a want, that's a pretty big difference. Owner's qualifications and financial readiness. That's why we're giving you the checklist now, so you can start preparing all the documents that you're going to need for the actual application. What you have in front of you is the training application, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. Essentially, the training application is the pre-application before you get into the training and do the $100 deposit. Owner's qualifications and financial readiness, again, the project leverages additional investment and or funding, working together with a bank, economic development, or CWC, or other financial institutions. The project is likely to encourage further economic development of the area in terms of attracting additional new investments and or business. As from an economic development standpoint, we are encouraging new investments and or new businesses daily. This is very much a program that is supporting what Simona and I do for a living. The project is compatible with the county's and or municipal comprehensive plan and regulations. I'll touch on that for a second. The county's comprehensive plan is up in the air. We have one that's been submitted and now it's just lingering out there and we're waiting to come back to that. Go ahead.
We spoke before about low to moderate income, right? So now you get to see the guidelines. So if you're not familiar with this terminology, these guidelines are from U.S. Housing and Urban Development Agency, and 80% of the area median income. The column highlighted in yellow, and you look at the household size and 80% of the area median income. That's the maximum income. Let's say a household, let me see, 1, 2 people, 3 people would qualify as low to moderate income business owner. So this is how you would make that assessment. And if you're an LMI business owner, then that's how you meet your national objective. Obviously, you have to meet all those other criteria. But if the business owner is not an LMI, then would have to create a job for an LMI person, a job be made available or taken by an LMI person. And
I can't read what's at the very top of the yellow bar.
80% maximum income. So this is also on our website, and are we gonna share this?
Yeah, I think it is on the website. Yeah, we're definitely gonna.
Yeah, so it's definitely on my website, Economic Development, and it's got a couple different options, but I'll change that tomorrow. So basically, what you see right now and what you're following is in yellow, and the household size, and anything else doesn't matter. It's just the yellow. And that'll determine whether you qualify yourself as LMI or not. Good?
The pre-tax?
That's gross.
Can you explain that 50, 80, 100%? Like, what does it mean?
Yeah, so the 50 is just like, I would say half. I mean, of the 100% median income. I really can't give any further information on that. I mean, it's...
Maybe just by way of comparison, we're just looking at the 8% of the area median income, the yellow column.
So does that mean if I want to hire a person who lives by themselves, their maximum income can't be over 49.6?
Correct.
Or 80% of their income isn't over 49.6?
No, that's the income.
I don't understand.
That's the, okay. So these numbers in the yellow, the column highlighted in yellow, they represent, based on the household side, 80% of the area median income. But if you're going to hire someone, let's say you create a job for someone and the income within this income bracket, that's the maximum income, right? We're looking at, right? For one person, you see 49 24,600 for a household of.
This is 80% of their
Yeah.
median income. So if they make more than 49,600,
Yeah.
Then they're not LMI.
They're outside, yes, but.
if anything below 49,600, they're considered LMI.
Yeah.
So if you were to create a single job for someone, the highest salary that you could pay them would be 49,600.
No.
No.
This is
What they already make.
What
Yes.
they already made.
yes, what they already make. Yes. So and if you're all business owners and you make
This is just
49,
business owners.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. There's
So this someone already has a job,
yes, or runs a business.
who you're hiring as your employee.
No, so you're considered LMI if you make 49,600 or less
We're saying the person.
for one person in your household.
So if you're, exactly, if you're the business owner and your household income is, at or below that level, then you qualify as LMI. If you create a job for LMI person, the same.
If you create an LMI, this does not apply. This is strictly for the business owners.
Yeah.
So
Taken
someone,
from like, last year's,
Yep, this was updated, this year in April. So this is all based on 24 tax returns.
2020.
And that's gross before taxes.
Income.
Yeah, so for this grant, correct me if I'm wrong, we will be using because we'll be rolling it out in 26, we will be using 25 members.
The new guidelines will be issued in April 2026, so this data is from April 2025. This is what we're working with currently. This is the data that we have, yes.
But just to clarify, you said that will be assessed based on the income in 2025, right? Not 2024.
So this program will be rolling out in 26 technically, so this will be all based on 25.
Okay.
Any more questions on this? I know this can be a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So this is based on the objective 2, which if you are a business owner that is LMI, you could, however, just do objective 1, which is to hire an LMI, correct? Okay.
And how do we know whether the person we want to hire is eligible according to guidelines?
We'll have,
We're gonna walk you through that process, throughout the technical assistance process throughout this, but just to recap, if the business owner is LMI, you can see the income levels if the business owner qualifies as LMI. If the business owner has, let's say, higher income, doesn't qualify as LMI, then the objective is to create a job for someone who qualifies LMI. And the question is, how do we know? We're gonna get to that once we get this process underway.
Okay, so, but those guidelines apply to the business owner, and you have to look at all income, not just the income from the business, I'm assuming?
it's gonna be based on,
Yeah, we're gonna have the application attachment, the list with all the application attachments that the review committee would need to look at to make all these decisions.
Anyways, based on the previous year's income, so what you already report.
yes.
Yeah, but
But you haven't started this endeavor yet, so it's not from this business. If you're doing a startup,
Mhm.
you have no income.
Mhm.
So it would be from whatever you happen to privately make.
What you put on your tax return the following, or the prior year.
Right. It's
We're
not- nothing
we're gonna,
is related.
we're gonna review what documents are from the next couple of slides. We're gonna go over what documents would help the review committee make these decisions. Yeah, we're gonna go over that shortly. What documents?
Do you
applicants-
consider social security as income?
I think we should write that question down.
When,
The
your
IRS certainly
taxes, yeah,
does.
absolutely.
It's very true.
Well, that's
We're
why
gonna
I'm
look at the
asking you,
taxes.
is the social security figured into that?
I mean, when I look at things at a financial standpoint, absolutely. But, I mean, if that's being reported on your taxes, then probably.
Taxable part, right. So let's go on to the next slide, and we're gonna come back to all these questions in a bit. Yeah.
Could the slides be bigger? As far as, yes, thank you.
I don't want to make it too big or I'm going to lose it. How's that?
Oh, good.
Better? All right. So obviously we've touched upon a couple things here. The training registration will be rolling out the day after our second informational session, which is January 8th. So once that happens, we'll roll out the training registration, which we already gave you all today. And this is what it looks like. It's pretty basic. You know, applicant information, your business information. Are you a microenterprise? Do you have 5 or fewer employees? What kind of business are you? Are you an existing or a startup? What kind of business? Are you a minority owned, business owned, or veteran owned? You know, is the business owner LMI? Is the business owner a U.S. citizen? You know, basic questions that are going to help us figure out ahead of time who's eligible and who isn't, essentially. As we stated previously, the training program will run from mid-February to mid-March. We're ironing out all the details on that currently. When we know, you all know because we have all of your emails. On February 2nd, the full application will launch. Again, you will all receive an email regarding that. And the full application looks like this, but much more lengthy. And it's going to need some effort and some time and some work put into it, because that's how we're going to know if you're serious or not. And the application deadline is May 18th, 2026. So that gives you 3 months to complete and get all of this documentation and then some.
A couple of notes on this slide. Lindsay mentioned there's going to be a second public information meeting on January 8th. We're planning at same 5 p.m. Next time we're going to meet in Stanford, WCCIC Community Room. We're going to review these guidelines again, but also we're going to address more of the questions that are coming from the BFIS community, like the conversation we're having tonight and learning, as all of you get a chance to study the guidelines and new questions, right? So we're going to address those questions more specifically on January 8th. On January 9th, we plan to open the registration process for the training component only. And as Lindsay mentioned, the application for the training component, you have it in front of you here in the room. People on Zoom, there's gonna be a fillable PDF form on the website of westerncases.org, or posted very soon. The full application form is gonna ask you more questions, more detailed questions about the project narrative, the project budget, obviously the job creation commitments, your current number of employees and the projected new jobs you're going to be creating, and all of it is going to be with the full application from when it's going to launch on February 2nd. A statement of need, obviously, and the full application would also ask you where you stand with your training. Instead, you said you completed the entrepreneurial training program, or where you stand with that. Lindsay, yeah, I guess the next slide is going to address some of the questions that came a little earlier. What documents do we need? Where do we need to look for to get the information that we need to make assessments about someone's income? And I think the next slide, the next 2 slides are going to cover some of that, like the documents that the review committee will need to make all of those decisions.
And that's kind of why we gave you a printout as well, so that when you're going through this list of documents that will be required, you can just check them off. If you want to do one a day until the application's due, cool beans. If not, and you want to do it the night before, I wish you all the best. Been there, done that. But I mean, most of these are pretty basic, you know, and if there's anything that you have questions about or don't understand about what we're asking of you, just send us an email. or call us. We're open to, you know, explaining what we need further. So, you know, just copy of a certification or proving that you are a real business and that you filed something.
When I go through these documents, it's like assuming that I have a company. Do I have to have a company to have a business?
Well, I mean, a company is defined sort of the same as a business, but this is for profit.
Okay, but do I have to file a LLC, let's say, to be approved for?
No, you could be a DBA,
Meaning?
doing business as.
Okay.
Just a tax number.
Like an individual.
Yep.
Yeah.
In that case, social security number.
No,
No,
business tax.
yeah,
State.
an EIN number.
I think it's confusing because startups are eligible, so you're saying if you're a startup and you're using this to start the business, what do you need to do to
But
start the
no,
business?
no, what I'm saying is that
But
tax ID number comes with a company, with an LLC.
Mhm.
Do I have to have an LLC to have the business?
you can get sole proprietor.
Then how do I get the tax ID number?
As a sole proprietor, yeah, you can get that. So you can get sole proprietor, LLC or other, you're gonna see that on the application form. And in terms of startups, they are defined, and Lindsay might have mentioned this a little earlier, you're in business for 6 months or less, am I correct, Lindsay? Yeah, so you have to start, you know, working on this.
You can get it on the IRS as a sole proprietor,
Yes,
a tax ID number.
But
Yes.
can I just continue as an individual business owner, but not company?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like if you're an architect and you have a staff of people, you're singular, but you pay everybody under your business
If
tax
I'm a
ID.
farmer, let's
If
say,
you're a farmer,
I can still hire people. I have a business, but I don't have to have a company.
you're still gonna file a Schedule C, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Credit report, there's a few websites that we will provide, for you to obtain that. Credit references, business owner's resume, personal financial statement, current business financials, balance sheet, income and expense statement, other known as profit and loss, if the business is in operation. If not, we do not expect you to have these things. We will probably expect you to put together some projections, whether that be with our help or with SBDC helps, Small Business Development Center
yeah.
in Oneonta or in Binghamton, which we both do these things as well. So we would like to put together those if you are a startup.
And for the training program, these are some of the questions that will be addressed. Everybody's going to have to work on their business plans from the training program, whether you have a business plan or you're just getting started. We have trainers that are going to work with you on those from the training process.
Federal income tax returns for the past 3 years, both personal and business tax if appropriate. Documentation to support the use of funds and amounts requested, quotes, estimates, etc. That's where I said the last time that documentation is super important. Making copies of everything, documenting communication, documentation of 10% owner cash equity cannot be in the form of debt. So that looks like something you will put in your personal financial statement that hopefully will show up. Documentation of other sources of funding required to complete this project. If you are going to have to reach out for the 40 or 50% that you'll have to match, I really suggest doing that soon because the process takes a while and you know, it's the holidays and things take a little bit longer. Proof of site control for the project. An example, you either lease or you own. You're either going to show a deed for you own the property or you're going to show a lease agreement for the leasing property.
Does it have to be 5 or 3 year lease? Like if we only get a 1 year lease on there?
Proof of lease agreement is fine. It doesn't have to be 5 or 3. That was just an example. But realistically, we're looking for a long-term commitment. And if you renew every year, then that's fine. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. For existing businesses, copies of New York State 45 form. Those are gonna be the hot topic here, because again, that is proof of how many employees you currently have. I believe that shows what they make as well. So that will determine whether they are LMI or not. Does that address your question regarding the, how do we know? Does that address your question? About how do we know whether the person that we're hiring is LMI?
Well, no, because I don't have any employees except me.
Okay.
So I've never filed a NYS 45 because I don't have any employees.
Okay. So we'll get back to your question in just a second. Any documentation related to liens, judgments, convictions, litigation, or tax delinquency as applicable. So if you're not current on taxes and you have liens or judgments on any of the equipment, furniture, fixtures, anything, we're gonna wanna know about it. All right.
Additionally, for applicants that qualify as low to moderate income owners, a lot of questions regarding this. So additional documents that the review committee would like to see: complete federal income tax returns for the past 3 years, business and personal. If you have been self-employed or held income property, make sure that tax returns include Schedule C and D. Personal bank statements, both checking and savings for the last 2 months. Any other documentation requested by Delaware County necessary to document household income, and income verification by grant administrator. Again, this is just for business owners that qualify as LMI themselves. So these additional documents would help the review committee.
Right. This is if you own the and you are LMI yourself as the owner. All right. Business plans are required. That's all. It's kind of a long, daunting process. Hopefully a majority of you have them. If not, we will be here to assist you during that process, answer any questions. But ultimately, by the end of the training and by the end of this grant, you should have a completed business plan that you can take wherever you go and reference it when you need to, reference it.
So if you've had a business for 9 years, you still need a business plan?
Yep. All right. Now, taking any questions in the room first, and then we will take questions on Zoom.
So I have.
Just talk. Just talk. Speak freely.
So you said that it will be assessed based on the previous 1 year income.
Mhm.
Just wonder why are they asking for 3 years tax returns?
That's standard.
If I have a business that employs multiple hourly employees, but we want to create a full-time position for one person, does that full-time position have to be created post the grant? Or could we, so it would have to be, that would be like the project?
Yeah, you'd have to go through the training,
Yeah.
and then you were, 37 and a half, one full-time employee.
Okay, so you could not have a 37.5 hour employee, full-time employee previously.
When if you have 5 or fewer employees, including the business owner, you qualify as a microenterprise for this program.
Okay.
5 or fewer, including the business owner.
So how many do you have?
We have 2 business owners and 3 hourly employees, but they do like a few hours a week.
Right. So yeah, realistically, I mean, we would be looking for 1 LMI position, or if you qualify as the LMI.
Okay.
So what if I don't intend on actually creating any positions, but I'm LMI, so is that?
Yeah, that's objective number 2.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Question?
Well, I just wondering, is this PDF on your website?
It will be. Yep.
It's not on there yet.
It's not on there yet. Nope. All the information will be on the website. The recording will be on the website as well. And if there's further questions, you can always email us.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how do you determine that the employee you're interviewing is LMI legally? Because you can't ask them what their husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend, you can't ask them what they make, so you don't know what their household is.
Right.
So how, is that something that the county will handle afterwards to verify their LMI or?
So realistically, we will be requesting a New York State 45 form beforehand,
Okay.
and that will determine. And then after, we'll see that as well because of the reporting.
Okay, so you're not really verifying their household income, you're just verifying their individual salary.
I mean, it's based on household income, but
I get it.
yes,
I get you.
yes.
How many hours the training course will be?
24 hours, so we're planning 4 weeks, 2 sessions per week, Tuesday, Thursday, let's say 5 to 8, 3 hours each session. So yeah, we're looking at 24 hours, yes. And we're going to be covering anything from, like Lindsay was mentioning, I have the business plan, we started business plan, financial statements, validating the business idea, and we're going to move into marketing and branding, bookkeeping, accounting, taxes, all of that, insurance, law for small business, HR for small business, project management, leadership style. And again, we're going to wrap up with business plan evaluation. So we're starting with business plan financial statements. Then we're going to work throughout other parts of the business plan, and we return to a fully completed business plan to evaluate where we stand. While you prepare all these other documents for your full application package. And to get this point, she's been in business for a number of years, but these business plans, they need to be up to date. You're planning an expansion, so if you're going to create a new position for someone, it's worth revisiting these questions, your projections, your numbers, all that.
I always refer to the business plan as the guide. The guide when you first start, the guide when you're in the thick of day-to-day operations, and the guide to when you need to pivot and turn around and go back to square one. So I very much encourage business plans. That's a big requirement. I mean, when you go to banks, they're asking for a business plan when you apply for a loan. So that helps us to weed out all of the things that we need to address.
So if you're a successful applicant and you plan to hire an LMI, what is realistically the timeline by which you'd have to do that?
Well, I think we want to, within the first 6 months, we want to see like working toward your project completion. Like, let's say, what do you want to do with the grant, or buy a new computer, payroll, whatever you're gonna put in your application. And we want to see like a sustained progress within the first 6 months. I think the term of the grant is 24 months to year completion, but you're not going to wait that long we want to see sooner rather than later progress. You're working towards that. And there's going to be a monitoring period. We will have to stay with the ODs to see how the project is moving forward and succeed.
So basically 6 months. And if you put it on Indeed, then just show proof that you're getting inquiries. And then when you hire someone, hey, they're hired. And that's pretty much it. I mean,
and then do you need to see the forms after that?
Yeah, we will have to see exactly all these job reports, positions, and in the full application package, you're going to be asked, how many positions you're going to create, and I think I have some drafts in front of me. So in the full application, you're going to be asked about your current employment. You have to list all your employees and wages and all of that, either full-time or part-time, and anticipated employment, the new jobs you commit to create, again, job title, education and experience requirements, hourly wage, hours per week, number of positions, full or part-time. The full application, you're kind of projecting what new jobs you might create. So you would put project narrative, how this project would grow, the proposed budget, for it. Our funding source is the same as the need when we need this. And yeah, so that will give you an idea, for example, these new positions that you will be creating, how that helps with your project expansion.
Delivery or something along those lines.
Startup, like 6 months, less than 6 months.
Mhm.
6 months from the May 18th application or 6 months from the registration application?
The startup, yeah, it has been in business for 6 months or less, right? That's how it's counted, right? That's how it's defined as a startup business.
For the training. I just, right, the training is February. And then there's 4
The
months
definition of
over.
the definition of a startup is a business in existence of 6 months.
So if you've been in business for 6 months or less, then yes.
As of
Now.
today. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other questions in the room? Gonna shift to this side. The copy the recording, yep, print information, yep, who can send that training registration through the email? Kate, can you send me an email regarding that? Hi, for the LMI job creation, what happens if a FTE is created prior to the full-time application being due in May? So during January to May 26th. Realistically, yeah, I won't either. So it's gonna have to be after.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we're not funding projects when they're already been hired before the grant funds are even expended or even sat through the training. And same for startup. If we opened in July of 25, since the training registration is January of 26 and the full-time application is due in May, do we still classify as a startup within 6 months?
Well, at the time of the application, right, it would.
You said it's 6 months from today, right?
That was
So
kind of the same question I had, I think, yeah.
So Sarah, that's 6 months from today. I think the determination of hiring an LMI individual is made because you are hiring someone who is earning an income from your business at the rate stated on the list of 80% maximum income. Correct. Correct. Do you want to piggyback off that? I think the determination of hiring a LMI individual is made because you are hiring someone who is earning an income from your business at the rate stated on the list of 80% maximum income.
I think that question means that what you're person fits into that. Not that they already have that much income.
Right.
But you can't hire.
Right. Lindsay, yeah, that's correct. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. I don't think, in applications that I've put in before, they don't do any research about like the person you're hired, did they have a pass as an LMI individual? What you guys are concerned with the creation of these grants is, are you going to hire somebody who is qualified because of what they're earning from your company or your business? They are an LMI, that's what they qualify as.
I agree. 1 second. I am going to try and.
you can mute the snoozer.
Okay, we're back. Hang on. Sorry, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to clarify this question for everyone when I have a computer to sit down and look at. But yes, I'm very certain that Kate is correct, and that we can, it's based on the 80% maximum income. All right. Would you increase a part-time employee or 2 to full-time count as a full-time equivalent? Hi, Russell. No, it would have to be 1 full-time, 37.5 hours permanent employee. And there was a mention that recreational businesses are not eligible, or does that only refer to cannabis businesses? An example, bowling alleys, indoor golf businesses, etc. Does that, is that located in a Main Street district?
Well, recreational facilities are not eligible. Businesses that cater to high-income earners like golf courses, STRs. Right.
Yeah, so no recreational. Any other questions online? We have everybody's email. Once we have the recording, which should be back tomorrow, we'll send the presentation and the recording out to everyone. It will also be on our website, both WCCRC and Economic Development's website. And if there's any further questions, there's our emails are attached to the flyer, and you can contact us at any point in time via our telephone numbers.
And also, when we're going to be holding the second public meeting on January 8th, we're going to dig deeper into some of these questions.
The guidelines that were created for this program, are they also going to be on the website?
Yeah.
They're already there.
They're already there.
So,
Yep.
yes, you can get the website.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm gonna end the Zoom if there's no more questions. All good? Wonderful. Thanks for coming, guys. Let me know if you have questions.